everyone. Happy Monday. It is the middle of July, right? Monday, July 14th to be exact. My name is Janelle Villiers. I am your host of the Janelle Villiers podcast. I'm happy to be with you here today. Stay tuned. We're going to have some really amazing guests coming up, and I think you guys are really going to love who we're going to be talking to. Your story is really important, and so I think you guys are going to love to hear the stories that we're going to be sharing with everyone. So that way you guys can be inspired, can be encouraged. I want you to keep that dream that you have of writing a book. I love that you have it. Don't let it go away. I'm here to tell you that your story is amazing and it's going to help change someone's life. So that being said, here on the Other Side podcast, I talk about all things related to books. And if you've been thinking about writing a book and you're just trying to figure out how to get it done, how to write it, how to edit it, how to publish it, and all of that, you're in the right place. That's what I'm here to talk to you guys about. So I'm really excited. Today, we're going to be talking about interesting topic, actually, why perfect preparation kills your book. I think this is important because for many of us, we think that we're going to write the first draft or the manuscript and it's going to be perfect. Won't even need to be edited. We're just going to upload that bad boy up and people are going to buy the book and it's going to be great. That's not how this works. But in that same mindset, P.S., that's not how this works, meaning you're going to get your book edited. It's always going to be your crappy first draft. If you want some help around that, please just DM me and let me know, help, and I can do that for you. But I say all that to say that mindset of, ooh, it needs to be perfect, and before I can even go publish, or before I even get editors involved, that mindset also is the same mindset that has you thinking, I need to continue to do research. I need to continue to do research because I don't know enough, or I don't have all the data yet that I need in order to get the manuscript done, in order to write the manuscript, right? In order to write that first draft. So I'm going to talk to you today about some things that maybe you haven't even considered when it comes to trying to prepare yourself for as much as you possibly can for your book, and then your book actually never getting out there in the world. So why is more research actually making your writing harder, not easier? Number one, it's information overload, right? Essentially, too much research creates decision paralysis or analysis paralysis, and you become overwhelmed by the conflicting sources and different perspectives. And so that can make you stuck. And I want to get you unstuck so that way you can write your manuscript. Also, research reveals more questions sometimes, creating in this endless loop of like, oh, well, I got to go research that because that's another question. I got to go research that because it's another question. You got to get out of the loop. You're going to just write about the things that you feel very strongly about. And if there are questions, that's why people should reach out to you, right? That's why you're going to engage in talking to people, getting interviews on podcasts yourself, and doing book signings so people can engage with you with these other questions that they may have or that you even had during your research. Also, people think that like if you do more and more research that this somehow now you need to be an expert. No, let's just say that. No. Just because you're doing all this research, don't think that you now need to be the expert. So you need to do even a deeper dive and know all the ins and outs. I mean, this is just going to put so much unnecessary burden on you. So please don't do that. It's so unnecessary. And so that brings me to the psychological trap that keeps you researching forever. It's this perfectionism shield, right? So research feels productive, but what happens is that you're avoiding the vulnerability of creating, right? Of creating this thing that's not necessarily perfect, or feeling like you're not ready yet. I'm not ready yet because I need to go do some more research, right? Of course, that's what you're thinking. I know, because I was in that place too. I was like, oh, I'm not ready. I need to do more research. But that's a psychological trap. There's also this like myth that you need to be like competent to a certain degree, or like there's a threshold, and then once you cross that threshold, then you'll be enough to write. No, that is also a magical point. Whatever qualified enough is to you, you're probably making that up in your head again, so that way you don't have to write the book. And then it just feels safer, right? If you keep learning instead of creating, which feels like a risk because, you're creating something that is important for you to get out into the world. You're birthing this, right? And I get it. It's a very vulnerable feeling. And so there's safety in that because the research keeps you from creating. So those are some of the psychological things that are happening for you and the reason why it feels safe to just keep doing the research, right? And as you guys know, I want you to get out of that loop because I want you to write the book. Okay, so how do you determine when you have enough information? So when is the actual threshold? I would say use the 80-20 rule. 80-20 rule basically works for everything, but this is idea that like 20% of the information that covers 80% of the content that you need. That's essentially how much information you need. And then also another thing you do is just set a timeline. Like I'm no longer going to be researching past X amount of weeks or a month or 2 months or something like that. Like you're just setting a time limit on yourself. And then just make sure you understand the core concept. So can you explain your main idea in 3 sentences? All right, start writing that. Figure that out. What is your main concept? Can you write your main concept in 3 ideas? And the research that you're doing should support whatever your main concept is. It shouldn't define it. It should just support it. Okay? And so when you can outline your major points, you basically have enough to begin. Okay? So when you have enough to outline your major points, these are the things that you want the readers to come away with after reading your book. When you can outline that, you have done enough research. Okay? So the other thing that you can do is start writing. And then when your questions shift from what should I say to how should I say it, that's another way that you start to recognize, oh, okay, I've made the shift now because I'm no longer trying to figure out what to say, right? But the how to say. So how to say is great. You've done enough research. So write when you're excited about organizing ideas, not just about collecting them. So now you have all these ideas and you're like, ooh, I need to organize them. I need to put them in a specific way, all of that. Now you know that you're in a good place. You don't need to do any more research. You've got the ideas. Okay, so what are some counterintuitive approaches that actually get that book finished? Basically, just research as you go. Start writing with your current information that you have, and then just like fill in any gaps whenever you go back in and revise anything, or like as you're doing research, you're like, oh yeah, and then just go back to that section and add certain things. You can put placeholders for missing information and then just research it later. But the key is that you're maintaining your writing momentum while addressing certain knowledge gaps. You just want to keep writing and then just come back to stuff that you don't know. And remember, always remember, your first draft of your manuscript, even your second draft, whatever draft you plan to send to the editors, is always going to be imperfect. It is supposed to be that way. So please stop with the, oh, it needs to be perfect. I have to get it. I can't let anybody see this until it's, you know who makes it perfect, who makes it sing, who makes it something that you can really be proud of? Your editors, your editing team. Again, comment editing if you want me to take a look at your manuscript so that way we can help you make yours sing. And then the minimum viable research approach. So identify the absolute minimum information that you need to start. What's the least amount of information you need to start that you can feel comfortable in starting, and then just go with that. You can research 1 chapter ahead, but not the entire book. Okay, I do not give you permission to research the entire book, especially if it's preventing you from writing. So just start writing, research 1 chapter at a time. It's a really good way to pace yourself, and also to pace yourself doing the research along with the writing. All right, how was that? Was that helpful? Was that valuable to you? Let me know in the comments. I look at all the comments. If you have questions, please let me know. If you're watching the replay, please put a R in the comments. That way I know that you're watching the replay. I see all the comments. I always respond back. Don't be afraid. No question is too stupid or too small. It's all good here. We're creating a community of authors and people who are supporting each other and lifting each other up, because we all know that everyone's story is important. Everyone's story needs to be told because it's going to help someone else. Okay? So that being said, let's do a wrap up. You guys know I always like to wrap up near the end. And sorry, I'm a little late today. I guess I should show you around. I'm a little late today because, as some of you may recognize, I am in Grand Central. I'm actually at the Apple Store in Grand Central. There's the famous clock, right? That's the famous clock. This is how you know it's live. It's live. All right. So, in terms of a recap, let's look at what we learned today. And you guys know I have my notes because I don't want to miss a thing. Okay. So, why is more research actually making your writing harder and not easier? One, it's information overload. Too much research creates analysis paralysis. You can't make a decision because you want to like include everything essentially. You can't. You got to make a decision. Two, there seems to be like a moving target. You keep revealing more questions the more research that you do, and so you never really feel like you're ready to write because you want to answer more questions. And three, the expertise illusion. You think that you need to have extensive research in order to feel confident in what you're about to say, but that's all an illusion. Please start writing. Then we talked about the psychological trap that keeps you researching forever instead of writing. And so it's number one, it's the perfectionism shield, right? I want to do it perfectly, so I got to keep doing research, right? And it keeps you feeling safe because you feel like you don't need to get into that unsafe creativity zone or creative zone. The second psychological trap is the confidence threshold myth that you feel like, well, once I research X amount, then I'll be qualified enough. That's not it either. You don't need to just, you've got enough. Well, we're going to talk about how you know when you have enough. But and also number three is the safety of learning versus the risk of creating. So it's just this idea like research feels safe because it's passive. You feel like you're doing work, but in actuality, you're not really getting any work done. And so how do you determine when you have enough information? We talked about one, the 80-20 rule. So identify 20% of the information that covers 80% of the content that you're going to cover. Two is the core concept test. Can you explain your main idea in 3 sentences? Start writing. And so if your research should support this main idea that you wrote in 3 sentences, it should not define it. That's how you know you've done enough. And then thirdly, the question evolution method. So you start writing, but then you recognize that you go from a shift of what should I say to how should I say it. That's huge. That's a really big one. And then finally, we talked about the counterintuitive approaches to get your book finished. Number one, research as you go. You don't need to do the research and then write. No, you can start writing right now. And anytime there's like a hole, you just mark it. Okay, there's a hole here, I'll come back. Or anytime you know that there's going to be a space where you're like, okay, I need to do research, right? Like you'll either figure it out along the way or you'll know it beforehand. Either way, mark it so that way you can do some research and come back. 2, recognize that you are going to have an imperfect draft and walk in that with pride. The first drafts are meant to be terrible. They really are. So focus on getting the ideas down, not getting them right initially. Remember, that's what editing is for. And then finally, the minimum viable research approach. So identify the absolute minimum information that you need to get started, and then just do research 1 chapter at a time and pace yourself with the research as well as with your writing. Okay, so I hope you found that helpful. Please put a V in the comments if this has been helpful for you. I can't wait to see you next week. Look, if you found this helpful, you know what you can do. It's totally free. All you have to do is hit that subscribe bell. Hit the subscribe bell. Hit that subscribe button. This tells YouTube that this is something that was helpful, and then it will help send this video to other people who are also trying to write a book. Also, the more subscribers I get, the better guests I can get. So please go ahead and subscribe, and you're going to see we're going to get a lot of guests coming up. And then secondarily, hit the notification bell so that way you don't miss a single episode, right? You don't want to miss anything, especially if you're on your journey to writing a book. Until then, I will see you next week with a special guest. Take care, everyone.